So do this for me. Take a few minutes, and on your index card, now that you've drawn it, I'm kind of hoping that you have some kind of image. On your index card, I want you to, as much as possible, let me set this up. As much as possible in this index card, give me whatever you know about it, which is a very broad question. But the question is going to be more or less like this. Write down any details you know about this parabola. Now, that includes rules, vocabulary, maybe coordinates, etc. So any information that you know, that you look at this and you think, okay, I know what this means, I know what this means, I know what this means, see if you can put it in there. So I'm going to set it on my timer for first 5 minutes. And so for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you to see what you can come up with. If you know how to do certain equations, put the equations in there. If you know certain vocabulary, give me the vocabulary. If you know how to make certain changes, whatever. Use the front, use the back, however much space you need, and fill up this index card with as much information as you already know. If you want to talk about it with the people next to you, that is fair. That is not a problem. But in the next few minutes, I'm going to start asking people to share what they know. It might be very minimal. It might be a lot. But right now, this is just what do you know. Okay? So it's a blank little index card on purpose for you to fill it up with as much information as you can.
Oh wait, Mr. Write down stuff?
So you're going to copy the image.
Oh,
and surrounding this image, you're going to give me any rules that you can think of that are part of this, any vocabulary, coordinates, I don't know, calculations, whatever you can come up with. You can take out your notes. If you can't think of vocabulary, you can't think of, I don't know, words to use, calculations, take out your notes. But everybody should have some basic stuff in here. I'm hoping some of you will have more than others, because that's just the nature of things. Anything you can think of, and it's going to be about 4 minutes. I haven't seen you guys in a while, since last week, so today's going to be a lot of review.
I haven't seen you since Monday. Or Wednesday.
Wednesday. So, a lot of review today. But hopefully we'll get something out of it. Feel free to share with people next to you if you wish. But everybody should know something about this picture. There should be certain vocabulary words that should stand out automatically.
What if you don't know? And this is just no, I'm not saying that. Just say what it is.
I need to figure out where everybody is. But learn how to help those Again, feel free to share with each other if you wish. But I should have vocabulary terms of some sort, maybe some values and coordinates, maybe equations. There might be some, I don't know, skip counting against. Maybe some basic things you should be able to tell me about.
Oh, what gets that? Oh, what happened?
I know I could.
To
Oh, okay.
I need to do that.
does it go down? Or
Kind of the same.
this is
All right. So let me dismiss this. All right. So most of you have found some basic information, and some of you have obviously more information than others, and that is fair. But let's start like this. Can somebody start me with what hopefully is the most obvious word here? Thank you. And label it for me. Where is that? Where am I going to find the vertex? Is it one of these points above? Okay, start at the origin. So I'll follow instructions. He says start at the origin, go to the side 3, go down 1. So the first thing I would like to see on that picture, if you don't have it, is I should see that you classify this as the vertex. As soon as you classify that as the vertex, because he told me how to get there, I think I actually know my numbers. So that should be -3. That was the first number. And then -1. Now, memory being the way it is, and by the way, if you don't have this information, I'm respectfully asking that you copy it. I think everybody has this information, but still. As soon as I have this, memory-wise, you should kind of be triggered into thinking of what I am calling vertex form, which is my y equals. Did anybody figure out vertex form of this? Say again. Okay, so x positive 3. Now, the x positive 3 should be inside what? Parentheses. So inside parentheses, x plus 3 to the something power, second power, and then how do I finish it? Negative 1. As soon as you come up with this idea, you should already, now you kind of already have it here, but there should be two words that go with this. Thank you. So this one here, slide. This one here, shift. Such a simple picture, but it's already filling out with information. Okay? Again, if you don't have that information, feel free to include it. Put it in there. Okay? And respectfully, I need you guys off the phone. So I have vertex, vertex form, slide and shift. And because of the kind of parabola that it is, which by the way, I should have already said, parabola should be one of the words. So that should be one of the words. But as soon as I say that I have a slide and a shift, there's this other thing that we normally do when we describe this kind of parabola. And it has to do with skip counting.
1, 3, 5. Or what do you have?
1, 3, and 5. And as soon as I say 1, 3, and 5, I can probably show that on my picture because from the vertex, that's 1, that's 3, and I don't actually have space to do 5. Okay? Again, if you don't have this information, can you please include it? There's some of you who have this and more. Okay? Next thing, we kind of talked about this piece of it last week, and we talked about it a lot in the past. But there's this imaginary line that starts from the vertex. Thank you. So I'm going to draw this image. As high as I can go. And that little broken line that's going right down the middle, wherever I can make it fit, I'm going to give it the name Axis of Symmetry. Now, there's a possibility that some of you, memory being how it is, there's a possibility some of you may remember something about an equation for axis of symmetry. We talked about it last week. Anybody? You're on. What you're thinking of is going to be probably next. I heard negative. More? And the 2 times A is what? So in here, on this axis of symmetry, I'm going to put x equals negative b over 2 times a. Axis of symmetry gives me this formula. Okay? So now I have this information. Anything else? Anything else that I should be able to do with the information that is so far provided? I already heard someone talking about A, B, and C, but I don't have that detail yet. The standard form. And how do I create that standard form? What's my go-to to make that? The which one? What do I draw to make that happen? Remember? Do you have the formula already? Yes, I can have it. So, for some of you, because I'm going to run out of space, for some of you, as soon as you see all of this, you might be thinking of this. And if I draw that square, by the way, if it doesn't fit in the front, you put it in the back, right?
You draw the box?
Yes. If it doesn't fit in the front, you put it in the back. And here I would put x plus 3, x plus 3, and then take away 1. Okay? Somebody help me fill it out. X squared. 3x, and is a positive. 3x again, and it's still positive. And 9. All right, so this is just, let's go that far. So now, underneath, that's this piece. So I have y equals x squared. 3 and 3 makes 6x. 9 take away 1 makes positive 8. Okay? And the little index card is very small, and it has a lot of information right now, and I know it's going to eventually not fit. But the good thing about this is that as soon as I write this information, what are the 3 pieces I now have? A, B, and C. So now I can say A is equal to 1, B is equal to 6, and C is equal to 8. And if you can make it fit, can you please label this as, wherever it fits, as standard form. What else? What else do I know here? Yes. The big X. Okay. So I believe most of you have the top section. So I'm going to move this up about this far. And I am going to now draw what I'm going to call the big X. And on purpose, on this big X up here, I'll put C. And in the bottom here, I'll put B. In other words, whatever A, B, and C are, I can kind of get it from there. C is 8. B is 6. And so the puzzle here is I need 2 numbers, right, that multiply to make 8, but add up to make 6. And you already said. So I'm being told 4 times 2. And 4 times 2 is 8. 4 plus 2 is 6. Because both numbers are positive, I put it like this. Squeeze in there the X. Squeeze in here the X. And I end up with a brand new rule that looks like this. Y equals X plus 4, X plus 2. Anybody happen to remember the name of this rule? We have vertex form, that was our original. We have standard form, which is the big long one. And the one that breaks it up into pieces is called what? Factor form. So in here for this one, spit it in there if you can. This is factor form. Anywhere that it fits. If it doesn't fit in the front anymore, put it in the back. I'm collecting the index card after. It's going to be a resource for you guys, but I'm collecting the index card after. And at the very least, you are able to copy the information, if nothing else. again, I'm respectfully asking that if you are still copying, I need you off that phone. All right. Small little piece of paper, very tiny, loaded up with a lot of information. Okay. This is, in many ways, this is just an introduction of everything you can think of for this kind of problem. Okay. There are so many other pieces that would literally just not fit. So, because of what I want to do today, I'm going to ask real quick, anybody have any other details that I missed? So, here's the next piece. I am going to review with you one of the steps that last week appeared to be problematic, at least for some. And because I haven't seen you guys in a while, it's going to be important that we review anyways. Now, one side is about as easy as you can make it. The other side is maybe confusing. We are going to work on one side together, and then you guys are going to finish the other side on your own. Now, one of these sides is easy, I think. And then the other side is review, where it may not be as easy, but I'm kind of hoping I organized it enough so that the logic will make sense. So, does anybody need more time with this before I change it? If you haven't had a chance to, and you're kind of behind, you might even take a picture of it if you want. I have maybe just 2 people finishing up, which is fair. So maybe at the very least, have a picture to go with. All right, so I'm going to purposely ask, this is going to be the front of the page. The front of the page is the one that looks like this with the coordinates. And I'm going to ask you to do this. Go to the bottom 2 on the front of the page. Go to the bottom 2, and I want you to notice where it says FGHIJ. And I'd like you to add, on your paper, I'd like you to add K on this empty space. And when you add K on that empty space, this is on the paper I just gave you. When you add K, put this number. Then on the other one, A, B, C, D, E, F, add F. And I want you to add this number. Now that part, I'm not really going to review. That part is just practicing your coordinates. Next. Listen. Next part. On the card, we already reviewed this, but here, when I say vertex form to standard form, give your attention, please. I'm expecting you to set it up like this. X plus 2, X plus 2, minus 4, and you'll have the answer down here. This is where the y equals is going to end up. So this sets up this. And if you look at how we did the work on the card, you pretty much already know that. I'm not spending any more time on this. I'm going to move on. Okay? So we're not really going to solve it right now. Put it on your paper if you need to, just for those who need it. And then turn the paper around. Once you've copied this, because you'll finish it yourselves, turn the paper around. And on the other side of the page, anybody need more time with this? Okay. Let me know when you're good. So on the other side, this is where I want to spend my energy today. And I'm going to do only the first question. So the first thing I want you to do with this question, automatically, as soon as you see the rule, down here, there's a spot called A, B, and C. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to label which one is A, B, and C. So down here underneath the graph, A is -2, squeeze that in there. B is a -12. C is a -20. So in terms of filling this out, we're organizing it that way. Once you have this, jump over to this part here, and the rule is already there for you. Now here's the trick. This says -B. The confusing part is B is already negative. So look at how I want you to write it. The negative that's there stays there, and then I put in there my -12. All over 2 times A, but A is -2. So 2 times -2. Now, the thing I want you to understand about this calculation, even if you don't get past this, a negative next to parentheses with a negative is negative times a negative. So what do we know about that automatically? So then this automatically turns into a +12. 2 times a -2 is how much? This is the bottom part. 2 times -2?
-4.
So -4. And this means divide. You see a fraction in my class, typically speaking, that's going to be a division problem. Sometimes I can divide, sometimes I cannot. What's 12 divided by 4? 3. But because it's a -4, it turns into a double check. This turns into a -3. So x is equal to -3. Make that nice and obvious. This is what I called step 1 last week. On the handout that we worked on last week, I called this step 1. As soon as I know this answer, I now go to step 2. But step 2 is just plug it in. So here's the deal. Since my number is -3, this is set up in a certain way so that you automatically can see it this way. This becomes -3. This becomes -3. And all I'm really doing there is I'm replacing the x. I'm replacing the x with the number. As soon as it looks like this, once it looks like this, then I need you to have the proper steps to solve it. And the proper steps are going to be this. Whenever you see this kind of question, the proper steps are going to be begin with the square first. The square means times itself. So we do a very quick review. Negative times negative is still? Negative times negative is still what? Positive. A negative times a negative is positive. So -3 times -3, that is a 9. It's always been. If I multiply two negatives, it's always been a positive answer. The -2 is still there. Here on this one, I have a -12 and a -3. That's still negative times negative. So I know my answer here is going to be positive. But what is 12 times 3? 30 what? So this is 36. And the -20 is just right there, kind of along for the right. These two numbers together mean multiply. Notice I did not finish the multiplication of the -2 until after the square. The square was first. So what is 2 times 9? In this case, -18. Thank you. Plus 36. And no more whistling, please. And I solve it in this direction. I want to encourage those of you who do not know how to do this in the typical way without a calculator. Please take out your phone, put it sideways, and type it exactly as you see it. Do not let that be the stress that keeps you from answering the question. Everybody in here has technology, so use it to your advantage. Those of you who know what you're doing because you don't need the technology, continue with that strength. But there's a few of you who get very stressed out with these kind of questions because those negatives just kind of don't always make sense. So literally take your phone, put it sideways, and type it exactly the way you see it. So you would type -18 plus 36, take away 20. That's going to give you the final answer. But for me, I'm going to go halfway here, and I know this makes 18. I almost forgot that. And then 18 take away 20, it's a -2. For those of you who are doing this on the calculator, you would have typed all three numbers. The calculator will let you do that. And you would have automatically ended up with this answer. By the way, this is equals to y. So now I have two answers. I have x is -3, and I have y is -2. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is now my vertex. If you remember what we did on the card, not only is this the vertex, this is also the what? Axis of symmetry, which is what that whole thing up there says anyways. A is 2. How, actually -2. How does that impact my drawing? Anybody remember?
I think the
Skip counting, which originally would have been 1, 3, 5, changes to, so I'm going to have my 1, 3, 5, and because it's a -2, it's going to change to a -2
-6
and
-10.
-10. So this is my skip counting now. But the cool thing about knowing that skip counting is that now I can say this. Down 2, over 1, down 6, over 1. I don't have space for the 10, but I have enough to be able to do my mirror image. And now I have my parabola, which is thinner. It's not supposed to be the one that is wide. This is the one that's supposed to be kind of thin. And do the best you can with it. And you have the picture.